अस्सलाम वालेकुम रहमतुल्लाह। أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
The opposition of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community and the cruelties perpetrated against its members from its opponents is nothing new. And nor is the opposition against the communities of the Prophets anything new. All the satanic forces unite in their opposition. The scholars and leaders associate all kinds of nonsensical statements with the Prophets and their followers in order to incite the public sentiments. And with this they seek to stoke hatred. Allah the Almighty has clearly mentioned in the Holy Quran that every prophet faced opposition. There is not a single prophet who was not subjected to opposition. Prophets are ridiculed, and Satan tries to place hurdles in their works. Thus, this is not something new which the Ahmadiyya community is currently facing. Regarding this, Allah the Almighty states in the Holy Quran, that is, and in like manner have we made for every prophet an enemy, the evil ones from among men and jinn. They suggest one to another gilded speech in order to deceive. In other words, they place doubtful thoughts in people's hearts. The words of Allah the Almighty are proven to be true even today. The mischievous scholars try and deceive others in the name of religion and incite the public through their deceitful ways. And in various areas, certain leaders are also supporting them. They attribute such claims to the promised Messiah ﷺ and his community, which have no truth to them whatsoever. Similarly, they associate various other things with the community, or they try to ridicule the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wassalam. However, the Holy Quran has already stated that the prophets are always treated in this manner. Lies are forged against them, they are mocked and ridiculed. Therefore, for a true Ahmadi who is firm in his belief, this opposition and affliction further strengthens their faith. But there are some who say that the cruelties against Ahmadis have exceeded all limits, and now an equally stern response should be given to their opposition. Because how long more can they tolerate such atrocities? Even if there are only a few individuals who hold this view and try to poison the minds of young Ahmadis by saying that they need to adopt worldly means in order for their demands to be met and to attain their freedom. However, such views are born out of ignorance and are completely wrong. Perhaps because of their emotions, these people have forgotten our fundamental teachings. And the expectations the promised Messiah ﷺ had from us, and also the advice that he gave his community about being steadfast in the face of difficulties and oppression. Or then these people, in the guise of showing sympathy, they seek to divide the community. As the community grows, the opposition will employ various means and methods to attack the community. And maybe this is also one of their ploys. Allah the Almighty has given the promised Messiah ﷺ the glad tidings of victory, succor and success. However, this shall not be achieved by retaliating with the opponents with the same force they use against us. Rather, it is to be done through love, affection, and focusing our attention towards prayers. The promised Messiah ﷺ has repeatedly reminded us that the success of the community and the annihilation of the enemy will be done through prayers, God willing. Therefore, we must prostrate before Allah the Almighty while adhering to the teachings of Allah the Almighty and developing taqwa, i.e. righteousness, inside us. The promised Messiah ﷺ was going to come as the Prince of Peace, and indeed he did. The promised Messiah ﷺ told his followers from the very outset that his path was not an easy one, and that they will have to encounter many difficulties. They will have to suppress their emotions and will have to bear the loss of life and wealth. And by the grace of Allah the Almighty, the members of the community continue to offer every kind of sacrifice. And as I have mentioned in previous sermons, that these people write to me, saying that they have not become fearful from the enemy's attacks. In fact, their faith is becoming even stronger than before. However, even if one or two individuals make such statements, which are contrary to the teachings of the community, then it can create disorder in the community, and it can also give the opportunity to the opponents to further intensify their opposition, particularly if such statements are made on WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, or through other mediums. We have always practiced the teaching that in response to the opponent's cruelty and hostilities, we are not to retaliate in the same way. We do not react in the same way, and nor are we to oppose the governments with any kind of weapons. Rather, our response is only going to be done through the weapon of prayer. As I mentioned earlier, that the promised Messiah ﷺ taught us that if we want to gain the help and love of Allah the Almighty, then we must not react to the opponent's attacks and injustices in the same manner. In fact, we have to show patience and pray. It is only then that we can attain any kind of success. The promised Messiah ﷺ states in one place, and begins with a Persian couplet, "My dear friends, without sincerity and devotion, one cannot attain any status. You should become like a clear and fresh drop of water, because it is that from which precious stones and pearls are made from." The promised Messiah ﷺ further states, "O dear friends who have entered my community, may God Almighty grant me and you the ability to do that which He is pleased with. Today you are small in number and are seen with contempt and are passing through a time of great trial, which has always been the way of God since the inception of religion. Efforts will be made from every direction to cause you to stumble, and you shall be subjected to every kind of affliction. You will have to listen to all kinds of things, and those who harm you, be it with speech or their hands, will think that they are rendering a great service in support of Islam. Many of our opponents, which is the general public, oppose us due to their lack of knowledge. The Maulvis, i.e. the clerics, have instilled this in their minds, that opposing Ahmadis is a great service to Islam. The promised Messiah ﷺ further states, "You shall also experience some heavenly trials, so that you are tried in every possible manner. But let it be known that your victory and triumph will not be achieved by your plain logic. Or by responding to mockery with mockery of your own, or respond to verbal abuse with verbal abuse of your own. If you adopt this path, then your hearts shall become hardened, and you will be limited to just making mere claims. And Allah the Almighty despises such people. Thus, do not act in this way, lest you call two curses upon yourself, one from the people and the other from God. Therefore, we are to follow the teaching which has been given to us by the promised Messiah ﷺ. We are not to respond to verbal abuse and disorder with verbal abuse and disorder of our own. And nor are we to retaliate by taking the laws into our own hands. Moreover, we have seen in Pakistan and other Muslim countries that even if we lawfully defend ourselves, the law will still side with the aggressor instead of us. Ahmadis who are subjected to cruelties and are put in jails are not granted bail because the courts are helpless before the Maulvis. The cleric, standing outside the courtroom, sends a note inside stating that if bail is given, then you shall have to face the consequences. Subsequently, many judges, out of fear, will postpone the hearing and do not announce their verdict. And so, neither do the law-enforcing authorities help us, and nor does the government act justly. To cause disorder in the country is not our teaching. Thus, there is only one way, and that is to hold firmly onto the threshold of Allah the Almighty and exhaust all our efforts in prayers. The promised Messiah ﷺ states, during the interval between a prayer and its acceptance, one is often subjected to trial after trial, some of which are backbreaking. However, a persevering and good-natured supplicant smells the perfume of the favors of his Lord in these trials and difficulties, and his perception informs him that help will follow them. One aspect of these trials is that they foster enthusiasm for prayer, because the greater the distress of the supplicant, the more his soul will be melted. And this is one of the conditions in the acceptance of prayer, that a person's heart melts and he weeps. And so Allah the Almighty has Himself created this state he enters for the prayer to be accepted. The promised Messiah ﷺ further states that thus one should never lose heart and should not think ill of God through impatience and restlessness. Therefore, this is our obligation. Certainly, the promises God Almighty made to the promised Messiah ﷺ are all true. And certainly, God the Almighty answers prayers. And each one of us needs to assess that have we reached the standard of prayers expected of us by God Almighty? And have we, instead of relying on worldly provisions and means, elevated our state to where our heart melts to attain to the standard where our prayers are accepted? Allah the Almighty alone knows the required standard. Despite making efforts, no one knows what the standard is. Thus, no one can claim that whilst they have reached this standard, yet their prayers remain unanswered, and they have not attained anything. We do not know how much effort is needed, because Allah the Almighty knows best that what is the required standard. However, our task is to remain firmly attached to Allah the Almighty with prayer and patience. Anyone who displays impatience among us will only inflict himself or herself with loss. There are those who are suffering in various countries, in particular in Pakistan, where the majority continue to show patience and pray, and they have firm faith. However, it is mainly those people who are sitting far away from any tangible suffering and loss who say such things. Therefore, if they are truly sympathetic towards their brothers, then they should hold fast to Allah the Almighty. The promised Messiah ﷺ states at one place, when anyone hurls abuse at us, then we submit our plea at the threshold of the Lord, rather than any other court. And sympathy for mankind is our right. We must respond to even verbal abuse with compassion. And every one of us, whether they are directly enduring pain and suffering or not, needs to steadfastly adhere to patience and prayer. Indeed, this is the hallmark of faith. Explaining that it is no easy task to follow him, the promised Messiah ﷺ states, one should separate from me if he does not want to follow in my footsteps. For I do not know what terrifying jungles and thorny wastelands I have yet to pass through. Thus, why do those who tread with delicate footsteps put themselves into trouble by following me? Those who truly follow me can never become distant from me, and nor are they disassociated with afflictions, or people's contempt, and heavenly trials and tribulations. However, those who are not my true followers have a futile relationship with me, and soon they will be separated, and their condition will be even worse than what it was before. Shall we fear earthquakes? Will we become frightened with the trials we have to face in the way of God Almighty? Will we run away from any of the tribulations placed upon us by our beloved God? This can never be the case. However, this is possible only with the grace and mercy of Allah the Almighty. Thus, those who are going to be separated, so be it. We bid them farewell. However, remember that if you submit after thinking ill and cutting yourself off, it will not be regarded by God the Almighty as much as He regards those who are loyal and faithful. Treachery and faithlessness leave a person with a huge stain. The promised Messiah ﷺ then explains that the level of taqwa, i.e. righteousness of a true believer, is very lofty. They tackle every form of evil in the face of all forms of pain and suffering inflicted upon them by the opponents. Suffering does not hinder them in the least, and they are ready to forgive the faults of others, even if it may have caused them agony and distress. They avoid causing disorder. Rather, they always act as ambassadors of peace. The promised Messiah ﷺ states, "Remember that undoubtedly there is never any evil or ill intent in the heart of a righteous believer. The stronger in righteousness one becomes, the less he wishes for anyone to be punished or inflicted with pain. As one becomes more righteous, they grow in sympathy for others and dislike to cause even opponents with punishment or suffering." The promised Messiah further states, "A Muslim can never be spiteful or malicious. However, some are filled with so much spite and rancor that they can never rid their hearts of this malevolence towards others. They are constantly looking for ways to extract revenge. But if we look at my opponents, what haven't they done to me? They inflicted every harm, loss and suffering that they possibly could upon me. Yet, even now, I am ready to forgive them for their thousands of transgressions. So to those of you who associate yourselves with me, show compassion to every person, whatever religion he or she may follow. And be kind to all indiscriminately, regardless of their faith or nationality. Other Muslims are devoid of guidance, and this is why they are beset with corruption and they are becoming distant from righteousness. However, we Ahmadi Muslims have been given a guide in the person of the promised Messiah ﷺ. And so, our every action should be according to the teachings of Islam. And our every statement should be rooted in righteousness. We should always try to avoid short-lived sentiments and momentary fervor. We need to examine our hearts to determine how much taqwa, i.e. righteousness, does it contain. The promised Messiah ﷺ explaining what taqwa is and what are the signs of real taqwa, and how a pious and righteous person is expected to behave. The promised Messiah ﷺ states, "True righteousness cannot coexist with ignorance. True righteousness contains a light, as God the Glorious states,
या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनू इन तत्तकुल्लाह यजअल लकुम
meaning,
फुरक़ानन व
O
युकफ़िर
those who believe,
सय्यिआतिकुम
if you remain steadfastly righteous for the sake of Allah the Almighty, He will then distinguish you from others.
अगर तुम मुत्तकी होने पर साबित कदम रहो और अल्लाह ताला के लिए इत्तिका की सिफत
That distinction is that you will be bestowed with a light, which you will use to walk on all paths.
फर्क रख देगा
In other words, this light will permeate all of your actions, words, and endeavors.
जिस नूर के साथ तुम अपनी तमाम राहों में चलोगे यानी वो नूर तुम्हारे तमाम अफ़ाल और अक़वाल
This light will penetrate all your deeds, statements, senses, and faculties. There will be light in your wisdom, intellect, discernment, and judgment.
और कवा और
There will be light in your eyes, ears, tongue, words, actions,
तुम्हारी एक
and there will be light in every movement of yours.
तुम्हारी आंखों में भी नूर होगा तुम्हारे कानों
And the path you will walk upon will become illuminated.
और तुम्हारी हर एक हरकत और सुकून में नूर होगा
In short, all the avenues of your faculties and senses will be immersed with light.
हो जाएंगी गरज जितनी तुम्हारी राहें तुम्हारे कवा की राहें
Thus, when you move your hands, feet, and body, it will be to acquire or spread this light.
यानी कि अपने हाथ पैर जिस्म जो भी तुम हिलाओगे
Your thoughts will only be to spread this light
करने के लिए नूर फैला
and will be filled with this light from head to toe.
सोचें सिर्फ नूर फैलाने वाली हों
Thus, if like others we merely get demonstrative when discoursing and disregard wisdom, this will not be righteousness.
अगर हमारी बातों में
It will not be righteousness if our actions are contrary to the teachings of Islam.
सिर्फ जोश है
If we do not reflect the light of God the Almighty in our words and deeds,
अगर इस्लामी तालीम के मुताबिक
then we should be concerned for our level of righteousness.
हमारे कौल और फेल में
If in unfavorable circumstances
हार नहीं
we fail to act upon the guidance and advice of the Imam of this age, then we will distance ourselves from the light given by God the Almighty,
अगर हम ज़माने के इमाम की बताई हुई नसाए
which has been given to us
पर अमल नहीं
for obeying Him.
तो हम उस नूर से दूर चले जाएंगे जो अल्लाह ताला
Thus, first of all, we need to analyze our own state.
बस हमें पहले
Is our level of righteousness so exalted that we experience the light of God?
हमारे तकवा के मयार इतने बुलंद हो चुके हैं कि जहाँ हमें अल्लाह ताला का नूर नजर आए हमारी
And do our prayers melt our hearts?
ये देखने की जरूरत
And are our prayers reaching the height of supplication,
हमारी दुआएं
which are expected of a supplicant by Allah the Almighty?
जो एक
If so, then we should have firm belief that the help and victory of Allah the Almighty is near.
चाहता है तो फिर हमें इस बात पर यकीन होना चाहिए
Allah the Almighty will make countries for us and will prepare the land for us, inshallah, God willing.
और अल्लाह ताला ही हमारे लिए मुल्क भी बनाएगा और हमारे
But we will attain nothing at all if we wish to move away from this.
और अगर इस
We have the example before us of those organizations which have been set up in the name of Islam. They have countless resources and provisions. They spend millions and billions of dollars and pounds in an attempt to set up an Islamic state or government.
और बेशुमार वसाइल
However, they have achieved nothing except for disorder, chaos, cruelty, and barbarity.
इस्लामी हुकूमतें लेकिन सवाए फसाद
They seized areas for a short while, and even those were relinquished.
उन्हें कुछ नहीं मिला
These are those who are deemed in the world to be defaming Islam.
कब्जे भी हुए
No one says they are doing a service to Islam.
इस्लाम को बदनाम करने वाले तो ये कहलाते हैं दुनिया
But now, the service and propagation of Islam has been assigned through the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wassalam
की खिदमत
and his community.
इस्लाम की इशात अब मुकद्दर है
And this will only be possible
इस्लाम के जरिए
if we followed in the footsteps of this chosen one of Allah the Almighty.
और ये
Otherwise, we can try as much as we please through worldly means,
के भेजे
but we neither have power nor the resources to achieve anything ourselves.
न दुनियावी लिहाज से हम जितनी कोशिश कर लें
However, if we can produce righteousness,
ना वसाइल
and if we can create the fear of God the Almighty in our hearts,
कुछ हासिल करें लेकिन अगर हम
and if we are able to elevate our supplications to the highest levels, then, as the promised Messiah ﷺ has explained with reference to the Holy Quran, that we will attain that light and strength which not even the most powerful force can compete with. And God Almighty states in the Holy Quran that verily the most honorable among you in the sight of Allah is he who is the most righteous. Therefore, does God Almighty say something that is false? Where on the one hand He declares that the righteous people to be honorable, but on the other hand He allows them to become humiliated at the hands of worldly people. Never can this be the case. It is true that prophets, along with their communities, have to endure persecution at the hands of worldly people. Just as the promised Messiah ﷺ has mentioned himself. But has the enemy not been humiliated by their own deeds at every step? And at every turn where the progress of the Jamaat has been halted or hurdles placed in the way, has the community not continued to expand and flourish? The opponents have tried all methods of attack, be they internal influences or external. However, today the community is expanding rapidly and is now firmly established in 209 countries around the world. If we are suppressed from one area, then God Almighty grants us the opportunity and resources to spread in 10 other locations. God Almighty has vouchsafed that He will not allow a righteous person to be left without his due honor. Then, with respect to the individual whom God Almighty sent Himself, and the one for whom we have witnessed signs for the past 125 years, can God leave that community without fulfilling the rest of His promises and without giving it full honor? This can never happen. However, just as the promised Messiah ﷺ has explained, that all of this will be achieved through steadfastness and consistent effort. This is the condition. If we hold fast to the threshold of God Almighty with steadfastness, then we will, inshallah, see our enemies blown to smithereens. The promised Messiah ﷺ states, if your entire life and your death, your every action, whether it is your placid or warm nature, i.e. one's good-spiritedness, and your anger becomes one with God Almighty, and that your anger is not for any personal gain, and nor do you become fascinated by any worldly objects, but solely wishing to gain the pleasure of Allah the Almighty, then the promised Messiah ﷺ states that you will not put God Almighty in trial over your every struggle and difficulty, nor will you sever your ties with Him. On the contrary, if you move forward in this direction, then I tell you truly that you will become an extraordinary nation of God. You are human, just as I am, and my Lord is the same as yours. Therefore, do not waste your pristine faculties. Should you choose to bow down before God, then according to the wishes of God Almighty, I say to you that you will become God's chosen people. Inculcate the majesty of God in your hearts, and do not merely profess the oneness of God from your tongue. Rather, prove it physically through your actions, so that God Almighty also physically grants His grace and subtleties. Thus, every single one of us must bring about changes within themselves. Those who are weak should analyze themselves, and those among you who considers himself to be in a better state, he should also discover new ways to perform verities. Only God Almighty knows who is in a better state, and where are we in terms of achieving our goals. God Almighty does not wish for us to remain stationary in one state. This should not cross anyone's mind that since they have become good, they are excelling in virtues, or that they have achieved all their deeds. We must raise our standards. On one occasion, the promised Messiah ﷺ states, "Whilst addressing me, God Almighty has decreed for me to make clear to my community that whosoever affirms belief, such that is free from any worldly blemish and is not tainted by hypocrisy or cowardice. Further, it is a belief which is not bereft of obedience. Then such people are among God's chosen ones. And regarding them, God states that their feet are firmly set upon the truth. Thus, it is incumbent upon us to tread upon this path of truthfulness, so that we can make those scenes of victory come true, which have been destined for the promised Messiah ﷺ, and which have been vouchsafed to him by God Almighty. The era of trials and sufferings is indeed coming to an end. But in order to speed up this process, we must raise our standards of righteousness and should continue to do so. There is no doubt that God Almighty has established this community to raise the status of Islam in the world, and so that Islam can conquer all other faiths. God Almighty has vouchsafed to the promised Messiah ﷺ that his community shall grow and flourish, and that no worldly power has the strength to stop it. The promised Messiah ﷺ states, "You should not harbor this fear that God Almighty will allow you to go to ruin. You are that seed which has been planted in the ground by the hand of God Almighty. He has stated that this will grow and flourish with its branches sprouting in all directions until it becomes a mighty tree." May God Almighty enable every single one of us to become these flourishing branches. And may we fulfill those expectations which the promised Messiah ﷺ had for his community. May we increase in our righteousness, and may we dispel all attacks from the opponents with our steadfast prayers. After the prayers, I will lead a funeral prayer in absentia of Mr. Malik Khalid Javed Sahib, who was the son of Malik Ayub Ahmed Sahib, who was a resident of Dul Miyal in the district of Chakwal. Malik Javed Sahib passed away due to heart failure at the age of 69 on 12th December 2016 at the Daruz Zikr Mosque in Dul Miyal district of Chakwal. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. To Allah we belong and to Him shall we return. According to the details, on 12th December 2016, which equates to 12th day of the month of Rabiul Awal, the enemies of Ahmadiyyat organized a big procession, and by deviating from the planned route, they attacked the Ahmadiyya mosque, Daruz Zikr. They gathered outside the mosque and caused riot, raised slogans and stoned the mosque and broke the gate. Present at the scene were our own people, and amongst them was Khalid Sahib. According to the reports from the close family of the deceased, he had no previous heart condition, nor did he ever take any medicine for it or undergo any treatment. Whilst the opponents were attacking the mosque just before he passed away, he was reciting one thing constantly, that I cannot bear such vulgar and abusive language towards the promised Messiah ﷺ. And he fell unconscious reciting these very words. Due to the pugnacious crowd, which numbered in thousands, and owing to the critical situation, it was not possible to take Khalid Sahib for an examination or give him first aid. He passed away in this condition. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Ahmadiyyat took root in his family through his paternal grandmother, Manobi Sahiba, who was the niece of the companion of the promised Messiah ﷺ, Maulvi Karam Dad Sahib. He was one of the pioneer Ahmadis of the Dul Miyal Jamaat. There are restrictions in place in Pakistan where those who submit the report are from, That is why they write Rafiq, i.e. friend for Sahabi, i.e. companion, and write Darul Zikr instead of mosque. However, those who type this in the office should correct this. The correct Islamic terminology should be used. By the grace of Allah the Almighty, the deceased was an Ahmadi by birth and one who had countless attributes. Alongside obedience and submission, his traits included an ardent love for Khilafat, and aside from the compulsory prayers, he would offer the Tahajjud prayer, the pre-dawn voluntary prayer, and it was his habit to recite the Quran audibly. Owing to the nature of his work, he lived in Sharjah for a lengthy period of time, which was almost 20 years, and then for the past 20 years he returned to Dalmial. For many years now, he would spend most of his time at the mosque, and he organized various programs of the Jamaat and looked after the security arrangements, as well as being in the forefront of all other functions. He had a special love for the Holy Quran. He made one of his children, Subhan Ayub Sahib, memorize the Holy Quran, and he is a Hafiz. The deceased was currently serving as a secretary for teaching the Holy Quran, and also had the opportunity to serve in various other capacities. He is survived by his wife, Uzra Begum Sahiba, as well as his two sons, one of whom resides in the UK, Salman Khalid Sahib, and Hafiz Subhan Ayub Sahib, and also two daughters, Nida Maryam Sahiba and Hira Maryam Sahiba. May God Almighty elevate the status of the deceased and enable his progeny to carry on his virtuous deeds.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر.